recording in progress. We love that. Share screen. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Everybody can see my screen?
Yes.
Say yes, Angela. There we go. Well, hello, everybody. We'll get started here in a few minutes. We've got a lot to cover with our very special guests and team. Let's see how I can see everybody who's joining. Welcome, welcome. Any other exciting news, Charles?
There's always something exciting. Pick a topic.
Yeah, exactly. We've got events we'll go through in a few minutes here when we get started and share. Yeah, it's never a stop, right? It's just it's continually on the go here.
Got a full calendar, absolutely.
It is great. Yeah, so much is happening. Simone, did you meet some good people last night?
I did indeed, especially at the St. James.
Yes, I'm glad that we got reconnected. Matt is awesome.
He really is. I spent a good amount of time talking with him.
So. Oh, good. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, we had net night there last month and it was Tuesday and they were like doing their soft opening on Thursday. So boxes still were to be unpacked. And I said, so how did it go on Thursday? He goes, oh, it was kind of like it was Tuesday. They still kind of unpacking. But then they had their opening, I think that weekend. So yeah, fabulous performance center. I definitely need to get down though to Springfield. Absolutely. Have you been down there, Simone? You
no, I haven't yet.
Okay.
Sounds like an amazing place though.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I have not been, but I had heard that our friends at Old Glory DC Rugby had practiced there. Oh, actually had a match. Again, a rugby field. So it's 450,000 square feet down there. Yeah. So if you guys haven't been, but it's very.
As a member of that, I can say it's incredible. And if you can get a pass, like a day pass, just to go check it out, I encourage that.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, no, Matt's very open to, the opportunity to do that. He just said, give him a ring. And so, yeah. Well, this is great. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I hope you're a little bit more awake than I did pretty good. I didn't get home too late. We just had a great time last night. And a few of us stayed after, maybe had another drink or two there at Reston National. They did a really nice job. I love the way that their foyer looks when you go in. The history of Reston, it's beautiful.
CBPA did an amazing job with that.
Oh, I was like, that looks painted, but yeah, whatever the film is that they put on it, it really did look amazing. So
Reston is a developed city, Pete, and basically it was Robert E. Smith.
Simon.
Created the town back in 1963 with a plan, and it's grown ever since, and it's extremely it's got just amazing businesses that are there right now, Google, Microsoft, and it started out as a community, just nothing in regards to corporations, but they were able to bring those corporations in.
Wow.
You have a lot of organizations where their leadership lives in Reston. So, whole live, work, and play, right? So it's a planned community, and the growth is unbelievable. If you didn't get to see our presentation last month by the Economic Development Authority, let us know, because we do have that as a replay. And they did talk about the current development going on in Reston, which is, I think I know it all, and I don't by any stretch, but it became clear I really don't know it all. So there's just so much happening in Fairfax County, but he really focused on Reston. So if you're interested in learning about that, just from the metro, and like you just said, Simone, the buildings and the companies that are coming here and the planned community, it's awesome. So well, I do want to be respectful of everybody's time, and I want to give our fabulous speaker as much time as possible. Even though I could probably give him the whole morning and he could take it. So we're excited, right, Pete?
They wouldn't stay that long, but I would do it.
No, I think I disagree. I think we get most people that would. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Angela Inzarello, and I chair what we call the Business Education Committee. And we are bringing to you a fabulous speaker today from Insperity. We've got quite a few friends from there. So let's just talk a little bit about history so that we can get some background on business education and then get started with the presentation, because you certainly don't want to hear me talk. For those of you that may not be familiar, the Greater Reston Chamber of Commerce has a 501c3 education foundation called Inspire. I'm actually chairman of the board. I've got a fabulous board. And that's where our business education programming sits under. So this year we are doing the second or fourth. It's not always consistent with our webinar. So we'll do once a month. And then the third month of each quarter, we're doing a panel discussion. And we've decided to have a theme each quarter. So we are in the middle of our business economic opportunity theme for Q2. And if you want to stay after, we have a great time to allocate towards some networking. So stay afterwards. We will speak with the speaker. We'll talk to the folks that have joined today, and you can get some. And then, of course, the recording. So this particular program will be recorded and available for the next 30 days because things change, but we will have the recording available. So if you couldn't make it or you want to watch the replay, we'll certainly send that. And if you're interested in being a part of business education, we have the application online, and you can see the link there. So one of the things we did this year for Inspire, we're really proud of, is our first Bizmaker grant program, where we allocated $30,000 to 3 lucky winners. And we had a whole allocation process and application process, and the winners are there: Pearl Project Institute, Personal 20, EMS Studio, and Tech Skills Partner. But if you want to learn more about Inspire or get involved, please let me know. But more information can also be found at inspire.net. So thank you. And of course, I know not all of our sponsors are here, but I'd love to give them a round of applause. Our Fairfax County Economic Development Authority and Miller Musmar CPAs. If you guys are not familiar with the EDA's current program, Find Work Now in Northern Virginia, you can see the link there. It's workinnorthernvirginia.com. Check it out. It's for people looking for work, but it's also the vast amount of business opportunities and job opportunities in Fairfax County. There are 150,000 jobs available in the county, and over 50 or 60 or so just in our area. So please check them out. They're doing a great job, and it's a great website. So if you'd like to promote a job or looking for a job, please check it out. So real quick, upcoming events, as Charles and I were talking about, always a lot happening here at the Chamber. They never slow down. One of our newer members, Sweet Memories Photography, you saw them last night. They always have the camera in their hand, right? We've got their ribbon cutting on the 3rd, which is this next Friday. I think it's 11 to 2. Check out the website. All the times and locations are there. And then we're bringing back our networking before 9 for those early risers, unlike Pete and myself, powered by Google. And again, if you haven't been a part of that, there's a little bit of education and there's a lot of networking. That's on the 16th. And we were talking a little bit earlier about our next network night, sponsored by our friends at CST Group, CPAs and District Advisory. They have a fantastic building right there on Sunrise Valley. And if we always pray that the weather is nice and they get it greatly catered and we can have a really lovely evening outside. So that's on June 28th. Our network nights are always the 4th Tuesday of every month. And just announced our awards for Chamber Excellence, what we refer to as ACE Luncheon at Hidden Creek Country Club on July 14th. So if you have not put in your nominations, feel free. The Chamber's taking those through the end of this week, 5 o'clock. So get those in. And if you need any help with that, you don't have to fill it all out. So if you just have one nomination that you want to nominate, a small business, go ahead, or a medium-sized business or a committee or council, please submit that. We welcome all nominations. And I always like to share that there are a vast amount of committee meetings, council meetings, and lead share meetings. So just check the website and you can have an opportunity to visit or be a part of it. We'd love to have you check them out. All right, before we get started, and we'll change screens here in a second, but I just want, again, networking opportunity The chamber will follow up by sharing the chat with you guys, but please put your name and company in the chat as we're talking here, and maybe a little tweet about your business, what you do. We're going to be doing Q&A throughout, but some logistics, just use the chat as we do that. We're going to try to filter the questions as much as we can. We'll get them certainly all answered by the end of this, but I want to make sure that we give Pete enough time. And then we're also going to have a survey at the end, a little poll. So I will do a quick stop share. So when you see that link throughout, please note the link, put it in your, click it, put in your screen, and then we can take, you can take advantage of that. There we go. Thank you, Miss Carrie. So without further ado, Pete, you will put your screen up and I'll give you a quick intro. So we are just pleased and excited. I had a prep call with Pete Hinojosa from Insperity last week. And as I was excited before I met him, and then after I met him even more so. So thank you for being here, Pete. Pete is Insperity, if you don't know Insperity, the Director of Thought Leadership. He's a published author. I learned so much about you, did not know this, and a business owner since 1997. As an educator, he was nominated 6 times as Teacher of the Year, 3 times recognized as an outstanding educator in the nation, voted as the, this is not a surprise, funniest and most enthusiastic and best teacher at Kingwood High School. And he's only one of 10 in the world to hold a master trainer certification from Personality Insights in the Model of Human Behavior.
Talk about that.
This explains, yes, I was going to say, this explains a lot of what you talk about. And was recently awarded the Distinguished Alumni Award from his school district in Humboldt, Texas. So yes, please help me welcome Mr. Pete Hinojosa.
Hello.
Pete, welcome. And a fun fact that I learned.
Fun fact. I don't know what this is.
Fun fact, yes, Mr. Pete might have rubbed elbows as a fraternity brother with Mr. Matthew McConaughey. Is that true?
That is true. Actually, we were in the fraternity, we were suite mates. So we shared a bathroom in between, but that doesn't mean anything.
Well, I thought that was a fun fact. So welcome, Pete.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And if y'all don't mind, I know that a lot of people like to keep their cameras off, but just for this one part, so that I can see your faces, I want to do an exercise with you, because I'm going to give you some information. And so if you have the ability to turn your camera on, could you do that for me really quick? And P.S. I'm a super friendly person, and I'm not going to sit there and do anything to call you out or any of that good stuff. But it's so much more helpful if I can see your face, because as I do this exercise with you, it'll give you a backdrop into why I share this information. Okay, so obviously most of y'all are not going to do that, so that's okay. Well, the ones that do, we'll hang out together, and you'll do this exercise with me, and you'll see why I'm doing it. One of the things that, and thank y'all so much for the ones that turned your camera on. When we talk about these 3 C's, the first one, can everybody see my screen first off, so that we're all good? A little thumbs up, excellent. So on the screen, we have the 3 C's, and I'll talk a little bit about culture, a little bit about change, a little bit about communication. But what we're trying to figure out is, and the reason I call it to keep them coming back, is that we're struggling a little bit with just attracting, hiring, maintaining, developing the talent that we have, and then not losing them. And so I was thinking about this last year when we had all these terms: the Great Resignation, the Great Reshuffle, the Tsunami of Turnover. I mean, there were so many different, the She-cession. I don't even know if y'all heard that one or not, but that was the ladies that would go to work and then had to come back. And then during the pandemic, because of the children being at home, taking care of their family, taking care of their parents to a certain degree, that created a whole nother issue with ladies that then didn't get to go back to work. So then that caused them to come back home. There's so many different things that were going on. So this presentation will help you think about these 3 areas. Why is culture so important? How does all this change impact talent and either holding on to them or losing them? And then finally, how does our day-to-day communication both impact when change is occurring and the culture that we're in? So I'm going to do those 3 things, but what I wanted to do really quick is teach you the 4 personalities, because I'm going to share some thoughts with you when we get to communication and change, and then that will help you see this from maybe an individual perspective, not just what I watch most people do is just talk about these in general thoughts and ideas. So I want to talk about a very specific perspective when I talk about some of these. Okay, so there are 4 personalities. I'm going to use 4 hand signals. Again, I'm a high school teacher, 20 years working with students. I like to keep things simple, but it'll also help you remember them. Okay, so everybody take your hand, go like this. All right, and then we're going to say, because there's 4 personalities. The first one's the D personality. The D wants to get the job done. Everybody say done. Okay, now you don't have to, I can't hear you, but that's okay. I'll see your mouth moving and all that good stuff. NPS already, if your personality is one that is already upset that you're doing this, then that's terrible, because I've already upset you. It's okay. You'll get over it. So the D wants to get the job what? Done. All right, and then we're gonna do some spirit fingers. All right, the I wants to have some fun. Say fun. All right, so the D wants to get the job done. The I's want to have some fun. Woo. Okay. Now, when I say fun, they're just not walking around, woo, life is good all the time. Although that's part of their personality, they're optimistic. The most important part about their personality is that they add energy into a situation. So you'll see as this plays out. All right, the next one is just kind of hold your hands like you're praying, like please, please. The D's want to get the job done. The I's want to have some fun. The S's want you to be nice. Just say nice. Just please be nice. Just be nice. Be nice. All right, and then the last one, remember, D's done, I's fun. S's want you to be nice. The C's go like this, want you to be precise. Be precise. And that's about halfway. And that's when typically the D's are like, okay, I can't take it anymore. Just get it done. And the I's are like, this isn't fun anymore. And the S's are like, he's just trying to explain it. What's the big deal? Just be nice. He's explaining it. And the C's are like, I don't care. Y'all can keep talking, but I'm not listening, because that's how you make mistakes. And I'm going to be accurate all the way to the very end, and I will not be rushed, because you've got to be careful and cautious. Perfect. Okay, so those are the 4 personalities: done, fun, nice, and precise. I can tell quickly that this is early in the morning, because y'all are just staring at me already, and that was good stuff. I don't care what y'all are thinking. That was good. Now, why is that important to understand? Because when you talk about culture change and communication, if you don't understand the individuals that you're working with, you have no idea how you're impacting the gifts and strengths that they're either willing to give you or they're willing to take and go give to somebody else. And so part of understanding someone's style is what we do on a daily basis to interact with them. So let me go ahead and I'm going to make a case for what culture is. And then I'm going to share a slide next of a webinar I was just in recently. And it had 14 different reasons why people are leaving the workforce. And the title of that slide, I call it, it's not personnel, it's personal. And that's why I want to make sure that when you hear these slides and when you think about these things, don't just think about in general, I own a business, I do this. Now, go down to the individual, the people that you work with, and ask yourself, how are you connecting with them? How are you communicating with them? How are you getting their strengths and gifts that they're bringing every day and either willing to give you, or they're unwilling to give it to you and go take it somewhere else. So great name, Stan Slap. That guy's got to have made up his name, because it's just too good. Stan Slap, double S. I'm pretty sure that's really his name, but his book is called Under the Hood: Fire Up and Fine Tune Your Employee Culture. And this is my premise, is that when you're creating a culture for your company, I want you to just kind of go with me on this definition that Stan came up with. It says your employees share belief. This is an employee culture. Your employees share beliefs about the rules of survival and emotional prosperity. An employee culture, this is an important word right here, exists to do what? Right? And then if y'all just, say it without me having to say it. So an employee culture exists to do what? Protect itself. It's an information. How do they protect themselves? They gather information. Who do they gather information from? So if you're not sharing it, if you're not putting it out there, guess who they're gathering information from within their culture? Other employees. Okay. And so, and the whole reason why that employee culture exists is at the very end designed to assure its own survival. So one of the things I like to remind business owners is that you have an opportunity to create a culture. That culture is made up of this is the 3 parts, is what you would say is your brand, your values. So if you have a mission, a vision, and values, and you put that on a poster, you go and hire a big consultant, the consultant comes, they talk to you about it, create your mission statement, create your vision statement, put your values up, Then we go, fancy it up and stick it on a card. We put it on a poster. We stick it on everybody's cubicle or out in the break room, wherever we can put it so everybody knows what the values are. That's the organizational culture. It's just a set of values that we put out in front of people. And supposedly those values are supposed to be put into place so that everybody has a foundational or a stability point that everybody can move forward with. Then your leadership culture is the culture that's created by either putting these values into practice, or if they don't put them into practice. And then who gets to judge if they're putting them into practice or not putting them into practice? That's this group, the employee culture. So the employees are watching, they're distinguishing between the organizational things that you say are true at the highest level. The leaders are implementing those values, and the employees are living within or not living within those values, right? They're getting to experience how a leader leads within that. So the key to this statement is an employee culture exists to protect itself. So what do employees typically want to do? They want to feel, simplest way of saying it, safe. So what they want to feel. They want to feel safe. So how do they feel safe? They gather information. Who do they gather information from? If they don't get it from you in the leadership, they're going to get it from one another. I always say this is really simple. You can have the best onboarding, you can have the right poster, you can have all these other things. You can have your leaders spend a week talking about how great your company is and everything else. And then here's the key. And then whoever takes them out first for lunch, whatever employee takes them out first for lunch is going to describe the real culture of your company. They're just going to, hey, listen, that's all good. That's really interesting. Let me tell you what it's really like here. So just remember that as you're putting together your culture, as you're putting together a opportunity for your people to be attracted to your company, your employees are living within whatever leadership is doing on a daily basis. All right, now to keep it really simple, here's the simplest definition I can give you about culture. Culture is simply the story people tell about your company and your leadership. That's it. So if it's a good story about your company and your leadership, congratulations, you're going to probably get good reviews. You're going to refer, people are going to refer to your company. You're going to attract talent better. There's so many great things that are based on having the right story told about your culture. If the story, however, is bad, not only bad about your company, but also bad about your leadership, then you got a whole other problem, because then that's what people are going to talk about. Gallup does a really interesting study each year, and they look at what's called engaged, disengaged, and then actively disengaged. By the time someone gets actively disengaged, those are people you're actually paying for on your staff, and they're actively sabotaging your company. Just do yourself a favor every so often, go look at Gallup. You can look up Gallup anytime. Just type in Google, look up Gallup, look up their study that they do each year on engagement, and you'll see that there are a group of human beings that are working for your company that, you remember what I said? They're going to be telling a story you don't want to be told about your company on a daily basis. Now, why in the world would someone work somewhere and then constantly tell a negative story about the leadership and the culture? That's the key. Potentially, it's because they don't feel safe. Potentially because they feel as though they're not very valued. So now, how do I know that? Because when we looked at this study, this was super fun. I was looking at this study, and these were 14 reasons why people were leaving companies. And so the first one is people typically don't leave companies as quickly as they want to get away from who? What's that one right there? Just another way of saying it is that they want to get away from a leader. Okay, so I was speaking in Phoenix not too long ago. Actually, I think it was in Palm Springs. I was in Palm Springs, I was doing a keynote, and I was working with a bunch of business owners. Each one of them, their business was anywhere from 10 to $100 million a year. And I was working with this group, and we were talking about this. And so I'm going to say something to y'all. I only have a little time with you. So if I don't say the things that I think can really help you, then I haven't done a very good job to do my best in the 40 minutes that I've got with you. And just in case, and I don't know how big your companies are, it doesn't matter if they're 10, 50, 100 employees, doesn't matter. But this little sentence right here, they have a issue with their manager. If you have people in your company and they don't want to leave your company, but then fortunately they do want to go somewhere else in your company. In other words, you'll find that there's a group of people that are sitting there saying, well, I don't want everyone to leave, but I just want to leave here. I just want to go somewhere else in the company. Can I please go anywhere else other than where I'm at? Then that's a fair thought process for you as a leader, especially at a high level, to ask yourself that question. Why would my people want to stay in my company, but not stay in this division, this area, this group? And so have enough courage to sit down and ask yourself, is it possible that some leadership or something in that spot is causing that issue to where they want to be going somewhere else? Okay. All right. As I hear those beep beeps, bop, beep beep. That's easy to think through. Okay, so that's the first one. Hopefully, I really want y'all to consider that. Second, just some key things. These are all, and here's why I put this. It's not personnel. When I look through these, you can say that there's task issues in a company, processes, procedure issues, but there's also people issues. And what we're looking at here is 12 of these 14 are all people issues instead of task issues. Most people always want to go over to the task side. They always want to implement a new process, a new procedure, and that's fine. We always want to talk about people's competencies and capabilities. That's great too. But the problem is that if you have a competency or a capability, and I don't feel as though that competency or capability is being utilized, or I don't feel as though that strength is going to be utilized in the company, then I'll take my competency somewhere else, not because I don't have the competency, but because I don't feel as though, here we go, I'm valued, I'm appreciated. I've been taken for granted. I've been working and working and working, and I've got these competencies and capabilities, and I'm gonna take them somewhere else. The corporate culture, that's personal. Lack of engagement, back to what we talk about with Gallup, personal. Unhappy at work, personal. I thought this one, we almost could have gone toward personnel, unfair compensation. But if you're not careful, look at the second half of it, same job, but different what? Different salaries. And so really what they're saying is that I'm doing the same job as everybody else, as 3 other people. And for some reason, they don't see me the same as everyone else. Now, if I had more time, I would talk to you about a strategy called performance management, and that will protect you from, unfortunately, liability issues if somebody ultimately says, that guy getting, or she's getting more than I am, and we do the same job. Well, you need to have a performance management system that's set up to protect you from that. Have some type of documentation to show how you ultimately are tracking their goals and their progress so that you can give a promotion, a raise, a bonus to someone. Because if not, you'll create an issue where you've got no way to document it. And so we're doing the exact same thing. And unfortunately, they're getting paid more. And so now, of course, you open yourself up to liability. This one, I honestly believe, poor process and systems, that is personnel. That's tasks. That's a process. That one you have to think about. Lack of results from feedback. Okay, here's another one, just to, hopefully this is helpful. When remember, the premise behind this is people want to feel safe, and they want to feel as though they're a part of something, and they don't want to feel as though there's a misalignment between what leaders are doing and then what they're doing on a daily basis. Okay, so lack of results from feedback. One of the things I would recommend is to do a survey. But if you're going to do a survey, then please take the results from that survey and actually talk about them, do something with them. Over time, people get really worked up when you give surveys and then they know the same thing isn't going to occur, right? They just think to themselves, just another survey. And then eventually people just stop answering the surveys altogether, because they don't listen anyway. Same 3 people make all the decisions. And so that becomes part of, you remember what I was talking about? That becomes part of the story they tell about our companies. They give surveys, but the same 3 people make all the decisions. So it's really no use. And by the way, I don't even think those things are confidential. There's no way. As a matter of fact, they're going to pretty much know it's me. There's only 2 people in my department. So there's no chance, right, that I'm not going to be found out in this sucker. And so part of what we're doing is that we try to do the right things, but if we're not going to accept the feedback that people are giving us, and we're only going to keep it in this one little, 2 or 3 people, then ultimately people stop, believing that those surveys are worth anything. And then of course, confidentiality is huge. So then you have to figure out a way to overcome that. This one's interesting, feeling burnt out. Okay, let me stop there for 1 second, feeling burnout. You remember the 4 personalities I just did? So the D's want to get the job done, the I's want to have some fun, the S's want you to be nice, the C's want you to be precise. It's not that people aren't feeling burnt out. They are. They're feeling burnt out. But one of the things I want to make sure that you hear according to the individual personality is this, is that C personality, that precise personality, you might have them in a role that is service driven or interacting, with clients or customers or whatever you want to call them. And as they're interacting with them, let's say they have 10. That personality in particular has a very high standard for themselves and their standard of excellence for what they do. And so if you have one person doing those 10, they've already got in their mind exactly what excellence looks like. Then somebody leaves your company, now they're doing their job and someone else's job. Or they might be doing their job, someone else's job, or you're adding in more opportunity because you're growing, but you're having the same person do all of that. Their personality will now play a role into this, because as they start to be overwhelmed, then they believe their standard of excellence isn't just being impacted by the 10, it's being impacted by the next 10, the next 10. And so then they can't be good at any of them. All right. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah, I hope so. These are crucial things to think about. And now, is that a problem? No, that's not a problem. It's a problem when the leader walks up and tells somebody to suck it up. We're all in the same boat. Cinch up your belt. We're all trying to, make things happen here. You're no different than anybody else. That's where all of a sudden those conversations that we have with people cause people to go sideways on you. Is that they get it. They're already there. They hadn't quit. They're trying to be excellent, and they're trying to share with you why this is causing them to be burnt out. But then as a leader, we step in and explain to them, well, tough luck. I mean, that's really where we have the issue. It's not the fact that people can't handle a little more work. It's when we don't connect with them well when they're dealing with the work that they have. All right. Lack of intellectual stimulation, little career growth, no vertical or horizontal. That would be a process. Poor mental health. And then I just think this is funny. Anything else that I didn't say that was a personal reason, just throw that in. Any other reason why we have issues, just put that in. I don't know what they are, but they're enough to put it as an entire bullet point that I missed. If I missed any of them, there you go. All right. So I wanted to share something with y'all that kind of pulls all this together. When it comes to change, I want to show you why your values are absolutely crucial during change. Now, this is not, I didn't do a white paper on this. I just used my 25 plus years of experience of doing things like this. And I put together this little formula. Our premise is that people don't like to feel unsafe. Okay. All right. Is that still okay? Is everybody good with that? The ones that I can actually see your face? Okay. So our premise is that we don't want to feel unsafe. People are not opposed to change. Things are changing all the time. We just don't like to feel unsafe during change. We can accept the fact that things have to move, things have to go, things have to grow, things have to go to a different direction. We'll even move outside of our comfort zone to a certain level. So it's not that we don't and can't experience change. It's just that we don't like to feel unsafe throughout the whole process. And so here's a couple of areas. And I mean, I could use a bunch of examples, but I don't have a whole lot of time. So I'm going to kind of wrap this into this thought process. So what creates more uncertainty? What creates, someone feeling unsafe? Well, the more you leave them in the unknown, the more there's undetermined, the more uncertainty. These are like multipliers. So information, procedures, expectations, how much, how long, how often, how long do we have to endure this? Those are all multipliers of people's feelings of uncertainty. When the pandemic first kicked in, my son was a senior in high school, and we were at Disney World. We're going to do a big Disney in March, and right during spring break, and we're going to all celebrate as a family. I have 4 children, my wife and I. And the second day that we were there, I heard a rumbling. It was, you'd heard a little bit about COVID and stuff like that in January and February, and I was concerned that maybe I was putting my family in harm's way, taking them in with 10, 15,000 other complete, strangers. But I was willing to take a chance because I didn't think it was going to be that bad. But right during the middle of the park, I heard one of the people say they were from Houston, and they worked at Disney, and they had a little badge. That's the reason I knew it. And she said, did you hear the Houston Livestock Show Rodeo is being canceled? Okay, well, we never cancel the livestock show and rodeo here in Houston, ever. Never happens. So I told my wife, I said, we got to get out of Florida ASAP. I don't know what's going on, but that doesn't sound good. Now, here's why I'm sharing this with you. When you don't know what's going on, that automatically generates a lot more feelings of safety issues. Okay. So what information? You guys heard that I was a teacher. Well, both my degrees are in science. So I have a biology degree with a minor in chemistry and botany. I have a composite science and education degree. I can teach 6th through 12th grade, any science, every science that you can think of. And I feel like I have a pretty good grasp. I taught biology AP, an honors class, for almost 10 years in high school. I have a pretty good grasp of what it is to understand microbiology, virology. I have to teach it weeks at a time, year after year, 7 classes a day. And I promise you, when I first heard this, I had no clue. I could not figure out one day to the next what information was accurate, what information wasn't accurate. I had no idea. And I'm saying that not for the bigger scope of things. I'm saying that because the more that I couldn't understand something, the more it made me feel completely unsafe in how I was going to protect my family. Is that fair for everybody? Does that make sense? And so what I'm sharing with y'all is this, is that when you have change in your, okay, we're returning to work. Nope, now we're working virtually. Nope, we're gonna manage hybridly. Nope, half of y'all can stay home, other half can't. What people are trying to do is figure out, you ready? They're trying to figure out how I'm going to be safe, how I'm going to be able to come to work. And I'm going to give you this is another hard one for y'all. First one was, if you see people leaving one part of your company and going to another, you need to pay attention to what the leadership's doing in that one area. The second one was, if you have surveys and you're not listening to the feedback, that's a whole nother issue. Okay. This is your third one. If for whatever reason, when you go to implement a strategy and you're looking at this, informations, rules, procedures, expectations, your people are going to want to know. You can't leave them in the dark. And I'm trying to find the right words to get this right for you. Let me give you, and this is going to be, I've got to do this super fast. Let me give you these 5 things that will help, and then I'll finish up that thought in a second. Let me give you these 5 things that will help. And so you're gonna have to write them down super fast. Now, for the ones that are watching the recording, you can just watch it again. But if y'all are in real time, okay, here are the 5 areas that people want to know, okay? So information, that's one of the things they want to know. So when things are changing, what information is there? What's the process? What's the procedure to return to work? What's the process for managing hybridly? Okay, and this is why I switched over to this for a second. And then the second one is personal. So the first one's information, the second one's personal. Okay, now why did I make this detour for a second? Because of this one, personal. If you are having people and you've made up in your new rules of procedures that some people can come to work and some people have to can stay home. You've got this hybrid work schedule and all those things. Here's what people are asking. Remember what we said about culture is, am I safe? Am I safe? Do I feel okay? Am I going to be able to keep my job? Okay. And I've watched several times now owners of companies that say we have a hybrid environment. And then from the video, the people that are there present, it's almost like they're rewarded, and the people that are hybrid watching it, it's almost like they're like our people over to the side that and they don't even mean to do it. I'm just trying to help, okay? So don't throw anything at me. I'm trying to help you. A leader will say from the front, Man, it's so good to see everybody here. Now, the people that are hybrid, you know what that's saying to them on the personal side? And I know you don't mean it. I promise you don't mean it when you're saying this. What they're hearing is, well, what's that mean about me? If I'm not there and they're there, does that mean that the business owner, the CEO, the senior executives actually think more of the people that are here than the people that are at home? And it's the slightest things that we say that we don't realize that is creating this feeling of, what's this right here? Uncertainty. And that's just enough for someone to go, huh, I wonder if I don't come in, even though they said it was fine not to come in, if they're going to get a raise and I'm not going to get a raise, they're going to get a promotion and I'm not going to get a promotion. Okay. And then I don't want to be a predictor, but my next prediction on good liability and compliance are people that work hybridly compared to people that work in person, and how they start to find a way to feel as though they're discriminated against because I'm working hybridly and someone else is working in person. So just, I'm not a huge predictor, I'm not a futurist, but I'm just telling you that's enough right there to cause someone to go, well, you said we could do this. So why are you treating these people so differently? I'm here to help. Okay, so you got the unknown, information, personal. Make sure you give information on implementation. What is it going to look like? So information, what is the process? What are the procedures? Personal, how's this going to impact you personally? Third, how are we going to implement this strategy when it comes to change? Fourth, what's the impact? How are we going to measure it? Impact is all measure. And then finally, if it's not working, the fifth one is refinement. So information, personal, implementation. How are we going to do this? How are we going to create these processes and procedures? What's the impact? How are we going to measure it? How am I going to be held accountable to this, measured on? And then finally, refinement, which is how in the world, if this isn't working, are you willing to take feedback from us to let us see if we can change this so we can make this process, this change better? Or are you stuck in your ways and you're not listening? So we might as well just be held responsible for something that could be changed. Okay, so you've got the unknown, you've got the undetermined. Now, this is the beauty right here in the middle. It's called your stability point. Now, why am I such a stickler on culture and values? Because the values that you have are always the stability point for what helps a company move forward and change. So this becomes your plus or minus. If you have values, a mission, values, goals, if you've been consistent with how you've treated people, regardless of change, then you have a point where people can look at and say, yep, that's the way they've always been. I feel good, even though I don't have everything, even though I might not understand everything, at least I know what this company stands for and how they treat people so that I can still move forward. Okay, this is a big leadership definition. Here we go. Leaders are always pushing everything forward into the future. That's what leadership does. What are we doing this quarter? What are we doing next quarter? What are we going to accomplish next year? What's our 5-year goal? Leadership is always thinking in the future. Employees are always thinking in the past. I'm going to say it again. Leadership is always moving everything into the future. Employees are always thinking everything right this second. And they're comparing to everything they saw in the past. Okay, what's that really mean? That means whatever you just did last during the last change, that's how they're judging if they're going to move forward with you or not. And all of a sudden, that's why values, your stability, who you are, who you've been, who you said you'll always be. That's why those become so crucial, because I'm not following a leader that just treated me terribly the last time during change. And if you're consistent at it, you're consistent at doing this poorly every single time things change, people will always look back and say, nope, just want to let you know, here's what happened the last time. And then people will rally together and remind everybody, remember what happened last time? You remember what happened? Because what do? They gather information to decide if they're going to feel safe or not in the next moment. And the way they'll feel safe is your consistency as a company and as a leadership team that helps develop the values that create the stability for them to say, yep, that's the way they treated us last time during change. So there's a good chance they're going to treat us the same way. I'm willing to take a step forward and take my skills with this company, with this leader. You literally, this is how scary it is. You could have one leader in your company that always has the ability to move everyone forward during change, and the exact same description, mission, vision, everything else from another leader, and no one will follow them. They'll have to because they're part of the company. But remember what I said? They would rather be in a completely different part of your company because that leader doesn't treat people the same way. That's the power of understanding your leadership, not just your organizational culture, your leadership culture. Okay. All right. Whew. Okay. So now what I got about 12 minutes. Okay. 12 minutes to wrap her up. How's everybody doing? Y'all okay?
Very good.
Okay. Is this helpful at all? I'm hoping that it's at least making you think. It's getting the juices going. It's getting you thinking.
It certainly got me thinking that it's just not about business. A lot of this applies to just real life, right?
Well, it always does. And I think that's the scary part of what we believe is that, you know, I'll take a 1-second detour. My very first year of teaching high school, this is why I created my camp for kids. This is why I taught the way I did. This is why I still am trying to do this morning. And part of the issue is that, so my very first year as a teacher, a student came up to me, she was 14. I was teaching physics that year. And she told me she needed to talk to me right after class. She ended up coming after school because she said it was personal and she wanted to figure out, you know, something. And so anyway, she comes after school, she sits down, and then this is what she told me. I was 23 years old at the time. And I just wanted to be a great teacher. And so she looks at me, she says, I hate this school. I hate Kingwood. I hate these kids. I hate my parents. I want to commit suicide. I hate myself. So that's 8 weeks into my first year of teaching. And I have a young lady sitting across from me. And let me give you all a little hint. She wasn't failing physics. She was actually passing my class. If I remember correctly, she probably had an A. So it wasn't a competency issue. I really want y'all to hear this because especially if you find that your personality, even from that simple explanation, is more on the D or C side, you're going to be thinking about everything I'm saying right now, and you're trying to decide about how far you want to take this. Because, well, you're the owner. People need to be doing what they're told. I actually had a whole conversation with a group of sales leaders yesterday because we were trying to decide. So we serve our customers, but we tell our people what to do. Is that even possible? Is that possible that we serve our customers, but we have to tell our people what to do? Yeah, that's right. That sounds good. And so now part of this is that the question is, why do we meet the needs of other people? We're about to go into it in 1 second. Why do we meet the needs of other people? Why do you meet the needs of your customers? Why are we more patient? You know, why do we give them, you know, our highest level of integrity? You know, why do we show them respect? You know, why do we answer them honestly about a process or procedure, even if we know it's not going to give them what they need? Or are we really deceptive? No, we don't. We tell them what we need because if not, eventually they're going to find out. So we serve our customers, we tell our people what to do. Well, what would happen if we meet the needs of the people around us? That's really what we're talking about here. What would happen if there was a person and they were sitting on your team and they were bottom line people? What would happen if you gave them the bottom line and showed them what to do and helped them get to a result or a goal more quickly? Would they be mad? No, they'd probably feel a little understood and valued. Okay. What if you're someone that has a personality that's outgoing and energetic and excited and you met their need? In other words, I've had leaders that this is one of the ways you'll make sure that if you're a C and that other person's the opposite, they're an I, you'll get them really upset. So be really rigid, have lots of structure, have no opportunity whatever for spontaneity or just relationship building at all. And what that will sound like is this. So I'm interacting with you and you look at me and you say, do you have that email? Do you have the email? And I'm like, yeah, I got your email. Do I need to send it to you? No, you don't need to send it to me. I can pull it up. Let me send it to you. And they'll just right in the middle of a meeting, right? This will be hybrid. But what that personality is basically doing is saying you have no chance. You are under the inquisition every time I talk to you. And so for someone that's more outgoing or someone that's more relationship driven, what it feels like on a daily basis is that I have this person doesn't get it. Why is every meeting set up with an agenda and structure when we're talking about potential brainstorming ideas and collaboration? So I have no way to protect myself from that. So now I have to sit there and be overly prepared in every conversation, just in case the inquisition comes up. Now, that's fine if your personality is that way and you feel very good about having all your information, but someone else that's the opposite doesn't feel safe around that type of, they don't feel even understood or valued. As a matter of fact, they don't even feel as though you trust them. Now, why is that a bad thing? Because they don't feel safe. And guess what they're about to do? Just like that young lady said, when I don't think I'm worth anything, I start saying to myself, maybe I'm not valued and maybe my life isn't worth anything. I have now spent 30 years of my life trying to help students understand their worth, their value. Here's why. Because if you don't think you have worth, guess what you'll do? You'll throw that thing away. Whatever we don't think is valuable, we'll just throw it away. Whatever we do think has value, we protect, we talk to it differently, we hold it differently. That's my baby, that's special. I would even say if we really think it's valuable, we'll put it behind glass, right? And just for fun, I always say the same thing. I've got actual chairs in my house I'm not even allowed to sit in. That's how good they are. My own house. My wife's like, nope, those are for company. I'm like, I can't even sit in those. Didn't we buy them? No, absolutely not. Those are good chairs. Okay. Just for fun. Every so often, late at night, say 3 o'clock in the morning, I go sit in them anyway, just for fun, just like sit in them, feel good. Okay. So what does this have to do with this final piece? Culture change, and then finally conversations. It's because the day-to-day conversations you have with people create the stories that people tell about you. It creates the culture. It allows for those moments for people to either trust you or not trust you. So let's take a look at it really fast. I call it the DNA of conversations. And because I was a science teacher, I thought it would be good. And so the first thing is the decision has already been made. And what does that mean? The decisions that's already been made, it means that we walk around with all of our thoughts, ideas, beliefs, perspectives, opinions, everything. We do that all the time. We have very strong opinions about what we believe on how to lead, how to treat people, how to keep people safe, everything. Okay. That is ultimate. We already have decisions made and we're good to go. And then we have to interact with human beings. But the next piece of this is new information is available. New information is available in all of your people. And then finally, if new information is available, what would happen if we ask questions, ask for input, adjust, and take action from that new information? Let me go back one really quick and let me show you what I mean. Do you remember what I said over here, the unknown? People are looking for information. I was working with a group, and one of the ladies, again, personality, real precise, okay? Like she likes to have a lot of information. So she said, oh, I love this. This is really good. I like this a lot. That helps me a lot. And she said, I love to give a lot of information to all of my people when things are changing. Now, I wish I had plenty of time so I could, and you could see me in person and I could do this whole play for you. But her thought process was, oh God, that makes me feel so good. I like as much information as possible. I like to start with a PowerPoint that's about 52 slides. And then I like to have the notes underneath it. I also like to have like a little dissertation and a white paper to back it up. And it starts with number 1, then goes to Roman numerals, then subsets, and then a couple of bullet points over there, and then little a. Okay, are y'all with me? She likes to share a lot and she loves it. And from her perspective, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. Give people as much information as possible. Okay, you all ready? Watch. And then you're working with somebody. So the decision's been made. I'm going to share a ton of information to make sure your life is better off than it was before me not sharing all this information. And as soon as she starts down that road of sharing that level of information, guess what the D personality starts thinking? You think I'm stupid? You think I'm an idiot? You think I need that much information? Okay. Their first thought off the top of their head is now to have a problem with that much information. Are you talking to me like I'm a child? Just tell me what I need to be doing, right? Just tell me what I need to get done. And immediately we realize that the differences in people and personalities creates the culture in which we live in. And so the decision's been made. Lots of information is better than a little information. I start to share it. The other person looks at you and goes, you think I'm dumb? Now, right there, new information is available. So then we ask questions. One of my favorite parts of this whole thing that we think about is how in the world can our perspective be so far off that creates the culture in which we live in? Forever. I mean, class after class after class, I taught the exact same subject for years. And I'm just going to try to see if I can narrow this down in like 1 minute, because I really have to pull all this together and finish up. When you're young and you're standing in front of a group of 30 students and you're teaching a subject that's pretty hard. So the same book that I studied at the University of Texas is the same book that I was teaching to 14-year-olds at a high school. It's a hard book. That was in my junior and senior year at UT. I was now teaching that same book to 14-year-olds. Well, it's difficult. So I would be sharing it. I'm doing my best to understand it myself so that I can share this idea. And then some kid would do something like this. I got a question. I don't understand what you just said. Okay. It's about right there that you decide, okay, well, I've already made my decision. I shared it the way that I knew how. I've said what I'm going to say. Either you get it or you don't get it. And then, but here's the scary part. All that student was doing was raising their hand, trying to figure out what in the world I was talking about. But when you're young and you have no clue, this is your only two opportunities. You're either going to react and there's going to be emotion and you're going to meet your need and protect yourself, or you're going to respond. There's an emotion. Everybody do me a favor really quick. Take a breath. And then you're going to switch the file over to a different thought process because you have matured. You understand that there's a different perspective than yours. You understand there's new information. And then instead of meeting your need in that moment and protecting yourself, you're going to meet the other person's need. It never dawned on me until about my second year of teaching this subject that I should have been excited that some student that was 14 actually was asking me any question. But the reality was I took it personal. When somebody challenged me that was 14 years old in front of 29 other 14-year-olds, I was threatened. I'm a D. I want to get things done. I like to be in charge. I'm an I. I like recognition. I don't like to look stupid. And the next thing you know, I'm an S. I don't want conflict or confrontation. I'm a C. I don't want to look as though I don't have my information perfectly lined up. I like to be accurate. Y'all with me? This is what's so crucial about this moment, is because when that kid asked a question, it shot off every fear that I had in life, which is, uh-oh, I just lost control. Oh my God, I'm not in charge anymore. Uh-oh, this kid's going to make me look stupid. They were asking a question about what I was teaching, and I had every other reaction other than the response, which is to say, you know what? That's a really good question. I don't think I know the answer. Or thank you for asking me that. I've never been asked that before. I learned later to say those things, but in the beginning, my normal reaction was to protect myself, which is, no, that's not going to be on the test. That was always a good one. That's not going to be on the test. You don't need to know it. That just means I don't know it. Okay. That's what I would say. That's not going to be on the test. You don't need to know that. Or why don't you do a report, little research paper on that, report back to the class. How about that one? That shut them up pretty quick. So I could do a lot of things to protect myself and still not have any engagement with that human being on the other side and have no idea what the new information that's available, because I only have my one perspective and I need to protect myself from every other thought process that comes at me. Okay. All right. So what do we do when we react? Notice here, feel, think, act. When we're in reactionary mode, we skip thinking, we go right to acting. That's what we call fight, flight, freeze, or appease. Fear takes us away. Anger takes us toward and against. And if you look at some of these behaviors that we do in the normal business world to create this culture that I'm talking about that causes people to feel unsafe, fear, we either withdraw, away, avoid, overwhelm, passive, shut down. We're overly agreeable. That wasn't me. Shift blame, change the subject, non-participate. Anger, we attack, towards against them, over controlling, aggressive, winning, arguing. We pull rank. I've been here forever. Heaven forbid you say something as a decision of what we're going to do in a company, and someone says, we've done that before. That ain't going to work. And man, you lose it. That's it. Can't believe that person just said that. It's no different than that kid raising their hand. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I've been here for 15 years. Nobody ever pays attention. Why are we doing that again? Now you're a leader and you just heard that's the dumbest thing you've ever heard. That's a pretty strong reaction from a human being that's on your team. Bare minimum, be excited they were willing to speak up and say something out loud. Now, obviously, it wasn't the best thing they could have said out loud, but that means new information is available. And if you have enough guts to stand in front of your team and say, I wonder what new information that is, because that was a pretty strong statement. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Talk to me. Ready? Everybody take a breath. Take a breath. And as we take a breath, we still have a feeling, wow, that didn't sound too good. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Instead, now we take a breath. We switch away from fight or flight into thinking, I wonder what new information is available. And then finally, we act with a completely different set of behaviors. Ask for questions, ask for input, adjust, take action on this new information. Okay. So what does that look like? Instead of fear and anger taking us away from something or attacking something, love, not love the emotion, love the behavior. Or you, if you don't like that word, you can use the word influence. We influence that person in that moment to create understanding. What do you know that I don't know? And then if you put that all together, that's the greatest source of leadership. We listen, we recognize, we're patient with them, we're empathetic, we respect their difference, we honor what they're saying in that moment. Thank you for sharing that. We seek to understand where they're coming from. We value all of their strengths and gifts that they've ever had. They've been there 15 years. Of course, they have insights that we don't have. They're in the front line. We haven't been in the front line for 10 years. They're dealing with customers on a daily basis. Maybe they know something we don't know. We just haven't listened. We learn from others. We collaborate. We encourage those differences. All right. Whew. That was a lot. So the premise is that there's a culture out there that either attracts talent or repels it. Change is constant, but if we can help people feel safe in that moment, we have an opportunity to not only utilize and get the willingness of their strengths and their gifts, we also have the opportunity in each interaction to live out the culture in which we said was absolutely crucial to the success of our company. Okay. And those conversations can go in one or two ways: react, fear or anger, and we protect ourselves, or respond. We learn to take a breath. The reason why you take a breath, by the way, is because that switches from the amygdala, right, the fight or flight, over to the frontal cortex and allows a completely different avenue for you to think through. Last thought, sometimes the easiest thing in the world for you to say to someone that's giving you information or has a different vantage point is just simply say thank you. Just thank you. I really appreciate your input. And you don't have to make any decisions right away. Give yourself some time to think about what they're saying and how they're saying it. Just say thank you. I appreciate it. All right, that's it. That's my time. I'm already over. I did the best that I could with the amount of time. I hope at least bare minimum, it got you thinking about these three things: culture, change, and conversations, and how all those interrelate to help people feel safe. Okay. All right. Questions, thoughts, ideas. How can I help you? How can I make your day better?
Well, first of all, thank you, Pete, for that. I'm giving you a virtual round of applause. Thank you. That was a lot, but you presented it perfectly well. Very good. If there's any questions, I didn't see anything in the chat. So people are either embedding it in here and still absorbing and trying to figure out how to ask, or you covered everything, which I think is probably the real answer. Yeah. So does anyone have any questions or comments?
Yeah, please be willing to open up and share with me if you need to.
I mean, I'll just take away the whole safety part. Just made so much sense for me. And, you know, like I was saying earlier, I could definitely apply it to so many things other than just business. It's just in life. So thank you for that insight. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. My pleasure.
Even if it, like you said, thought provokes organizations, people listening to just be aware of that. Because I think most employers don't even realize it, right? That things are happening, or managers and etc.
I think it's really powerful. If you look at those 14 reasons why people are leaving,
Yeah.
12 of them are personal. They're not personnel issues. And the other crazy part is I was actually just speaking at a Chamber of Commerce last week in Texas and Dallas. And I had a group reach out to me right afterwards and said, when I was listening to your presentation and I looked at that list, it wasn't one or two, 13 of the 14 we're dealing with right this very second. 13 of the 14 we're dealing with. I love my company. I love what I do. I love what's going on. I want so badly for our leadership to understand that these issues are real and people are experiencing them. So yeah, please, I know this is a, when I do things, I keep it very simple so that it goes in an orderly fashion, a logical fashion for you to kind of track with me. But people are not easy. This is not simple. To create safety in order to feel as though you can move forward over and over and over again while things are changing. That's a delicate proposition for every one of us. I want to say one last thing to encourage you. Believe it or not, you're already doing a really good job of responding. In other words, influencing people. I always say it this way: all of us do a great job with complete strangers. They're called customers, clients, and prospects. We kind of lose our ability to influence people positively when we start leading them. For some reason, we're really great at strangers, a little less with the people we lead, and sometimes it's non-existent with the people we love. So by the time we get home, I'm like, I just tell my kids what to do. I can't take it. No, not even. I have no more patience left. You just go and do what you're doing. The reality is, everyone, you're already doing a super good job of doing exactly what I'm talking about: servant leadership, leading with response instead of reaction. They're just called strangers. And the question is, why are we so good at it with strangers? And why is it so hard? What are we afraid of when we have to meet the need of the employee? What are we so afraid of when we have to meet the need of our child or our family member? When we get that answer right, when we're consistent from family all the way to complete strangers, then that consistency creates a genuine, authentic person. You'll be known, your brand will be very strong, and you'll feel better each day because you're not sitting there giving all of your attention in one area to people that we barely even know or meet. But you already know how to do what I'm telling you. We just do it really, really well with strangers. They're called clients or customers or potential customers.
No, I thought you made a good point about that, right? Treating your clients more care than your own employees,
Yeah, if we're not careful.
Awareness.
And the question is, what would happen if we met the needs of our employees, just like we met the needs of our clients?
Nice.
I have a question for you. I'm a client. Oh, hop on that. We can't lose that client. Hey, I have a question for you. I'm an employee. How many times have I answered that question? Stop asking that. It's the dumbest question. How dumb are y'all? Hey, Dad, I got a question. Dad's busy. Okay, there's no difference. Same question, same need. Unfortunately, we decide that this up here is really important. This down here, although incredibly important, and that's why we're doing this. Most people would say the reason I'm doing and working so hard is to take care of this, which is my family. But yet somewhere that there's a disconnect when it comes to that on how we interact and share. So anyway.
How long have you been in Insperity, Pete?
This is my 10th year. So I've been there 10 years. So, and I'm a lightweight at Insperity. Everybody in Insperity, 25 years, 30 years, 32 years.
Wow,
so
that's impressive.
Our same leadership who started the company is still there. So he's still the CEO, still the founder, 36 years. So, all right. Any questions, comments, concerns?
No one's giving you any grief back, trying to challenge what you're saying.
And bare minimum, ask me hard questions about leadership if you want. I'll stay for a little bit. I got to teach in about an hour anyway, so I'm going to be working with about.
Yeah, it's an hour earlier there where you are, but that's good. Craig, do you have a question?
Angela, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Yes,
please.
So how does all this affect the bottom line, Pete? So, and here's the context that I bring this up. So this is not, I have a solo practice. I am my own employee, he's hard enough to deal with, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But somebody else I know is in a company and there's one employee who is a culture buster, right? Yeah. He's the sour apple. He makes everybody else miserable, but he's the biggest earner in the company.
I know it's a really great question. And you have to decide what you're willing to tolerate. And you also have to decide, ultimately how that impacts, because to your point, a single person not only can generate a lot of revenue for you, a single person can also be, your biggest risk to your company as well. I don't think that I can make that kind of decision for a complete, for a CEO. But let me you asked how it impacts the bottom line. when Insperity was first creating our leadership development program, just a couple of little statistics. When we turn over a leader, when a leader isn't successful at our company, a leader, an office in our company will have what's called a district administrator. That's kind of the office manager, 8 salespeople, to as many as 10, plus the district manager. So that's typically 10 people that we hire. Our office space, just where we go across the country, can cost us up to $1 million, just the space to lay it out, because we have Class A space. Now we're a multi-billion-dollar company and we have 85 offices. When I started there, we only had 40. So 40 offices, and my job was to develop the leadership division to grow from 40 to over 100. So bottom line, when we lose a district manager, we have a manager that causes issues or problems, we typically turn over our office 1.5 times. I don't know if that bothers you or not, but it sure bothered them. So bottom line, on people that create issues and problems, we typically turn over, we have issues and problems with everyone else. So yes, I can't make that kind of decision on revenue for a person, but I also would hope that as a leader, you would say, hey, listen, I appreciate your effort. I appreciate what you do for this company, and you are a top earner, but you also are a part of this culture, and these are the values in which we expect. And so if you're going to be a leader of a company like that, you're going to have a hard conversation with somebody that's creating a problem. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes they're not they should be an individual contributor and definitely not a leader. That would be my next suggestion. Let them be an individual contributor, fine. Keep them away from human beings that they can impact on a daily basis. So, and then you have to make a bigger decision as an owner. Is that really the culture I want to create? Is that what I want to say? That person is so important, they can treat people any way they want, and I'll do nothing about it, because here's the byproduct. Whatever you let happen with one person, everybody else is judging you by that. Your entire other group is saying, guys, that guy's ridiculous. You're never going to do anything about that. I don't care how much that guy does. Okay. Anyway, or she. So, and then just for you, this is more for fun. I had to let myself go many times as a sole proprietor. I'd have like, listen, I don't think I like your attitude. You know what? I'm not going to be talked to the way. I quit. No way. You can't quit. You're fired. I'm like, whatever. And I'd just leave my office. So that's it. And that'd be my whole day. And I'd say, you want to go to lunch? Yeah. Let's make up. Okay, fine. And then I'd rehire myself by the end of the day.
Give yourself a raise.
Yeah, listen,
Let's go get a drink.
that was a good, you know what? You're right. You're right. I should never talk to you that way. You're darn right. You shouldn't have. I almost quit. Anyway, just for fun. All right. What else? Thank you, Craig. And I wish I had a better answer for you, but realistically, you have to make that call as a leader. So, what else? Any other thoughts, ideas I can help with, or at least we can kick around as a team real fast?
I don't know. Are they awake?
I don't know. You guys are just too kind. All right.
Well, just so you all know, I don't think we mentioned it about Insperity. We are an HR infrastructure company, and we focus on small to mid-sized companies, just helping them in lots of different areas. And looking at your culture is one of the things that our performance management advisors do as well. So this is, just right on time. A lot of my prospects, I'm a business performance advisor, and they're constantly talking to me about this topic. So when Angela brought it up to me, I was like, this is perfect. So
yeah, that's key. We have what we call 9 core strategies where we help companies every day. One of them is culture, one of them is hiring, recruiting, retention, one of them is performance management. I mentioned that, liability compliance, rewards recognition, compensation, mergers, acquisitions, admin, technology. So we have these strategies we use every day to create what we call a human capital development strategy for companies, because most business owners, they're not adept. That's not even their expertise to think about all these people issues on a daily basis. And so we put that infrastructure together for a company.
Yes,
then,
unfortunately, people think they have to get to a certain level too before they do that. It's not the case at all. So
we have clients as small as 5,
yeah,
and as big as in the thousands.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys, thank you all so much for letting me share with you.
Thank you. Yeah, fabulous insights. Thank you, everybody, for getting up early and seeing us and supporting business education. Anything else before we go?
Well, thank you, Angela. And thank you to the
Thank you.
chamber for inviting Insperity to be a part of this.
Our pleasure. Thank you, your team, and of course, Simone and a few others. So thank you. And we'll have that replay available. So if you know somebody, please let us know. I think that's it. We can sign off. Anything else, Charles?
No, again, thank you, Simone, Nick, Pete, for bringing this information.
Sure.
I think once we get this out and allow more of our members to see this on demand, just great information for all of us that have a team that we work with, a lot of food for thought. So yeah,
Well,
thank you for that this morning.
And Pete, you did indicate that like 30 days is kind of the shelf life for this topic.
this topic by far is one
Yeah.
is, universal. I try to make sure that I use, but let's say in the next 30 to 45 days, we learn that the top 5 reasons is this. Gallup might come out with a new study. There's things like that I use as statistics and think about. I try not to use exactly Gallup's percentages because those might go up and down by 2 or 3%. That's why I always encourage everyone, go out onto the net. You'll see Gallup for the last 4 to 5 years. But unfortunately right now, that disengaged and actively disengaged has gone up. It's gone up since the pandemic, and that's not good because it was already bad. That means somewhere between, I want to say 30 to 40% of our workforce is either disengaged or actively disengaged.
Yeah.
And you get to the actively disengaged, those people, you're paying them,
Yeah.
they're sabotaging your company.
Yeah.
They're that upset. So that is not good. So, all right, that's it.